So if you're ever wondering why I was gone for the past month and have not published a single video, well, that is because I'm not single anymore. Somebody has put a ring on it, people. I have gotten married in the past month. I got married officially March 15, and then we have a ceremonial wedding on March 27. That is so weird that I actually have 2 weddings, and it's crazy just saying that. Now, what we're going to be talking about in this video is how you're going to be planning and budgeting your wedding as an entrepreneur. And this is no easy feat. I've learned so many things in the past 4 months of just me planning it. I started planning it in December. The wedding was on March. And I can also tell you the pros and cons of 2 different types of weddings, which is the ceremonial wedding and the civil wedding. What are the pros and cons of each? How do you plan each one? So on and so forth. So without further ado, let's dive right in. Okay, first and foremost, let us stop thinking about this as an ROI event. Okay, because I made that very mistake wherein, okay, I can splurge this certain amount of money in my wedding because anyway, I'm just going to be able to make it back. I'll be making money in the few days before the wedding, I'll be able to make it back, so on and so forth. That's how entrepreneurs think, right? You're probably thinking, okay, we're going to spend this much money in our wedding day because, we're just going to be making it back. Let's stop right there. You are not going to be able to make that money back. It's a personal expense. Whatever you're going to make in your business is not something that you can patch or reimburse in that very personal expense, which is in this case, your wedding. So that is not going to happen. Just stop thinking about it that way, okay? So with that said, I had 2 weddings, which is the civil wedding and the ceremonial wedding. The civil wedding only cost $160, $160 just to get the certificate, the registration, whatever thing the civil registrar was asking of us. And then with the ceremonial wedding, I think it can go anywhere from $2,000 to $5,000 or something like that, right? So in my mind, I was really thinking I don't want my wedding to go and reach $10,000 or $500,000. Like that is not logical and I'm not going to go that route. And so I made it very simple, very personalized. We only invited our personal or very close friends. But how did it happen that I had 2 weddings? To cut the long story short, when you are a Roman Catholic and you opt for a church wedding, you actually need to compile your baptismal certificate, confession, and confirmation certificates, put that all together, submit that to the church so that you can present to them that you are actually a Roman Catholic and you have gone through all the sacraments. Now, I had those papers, but since we were transferring from one city to another all my entire life, it was very hard for us to be able to trace where is that certificate, where is this, so on and so forth. And I could have myself rebaptized again, but we don't have that ample of time already. And so we simply opted for a civil wedding, which can give us the legal bond or the legal documents that we need in order to legalize our marriage. So without the church being able to give us as a privilege the marriage contract that we're going to be asking to legalize our bond, we then approached the local government unit or the civil register in order to make sure that our marriage is legal. They are the ones that provided our marriage contract, and that's why we did a civil wedding. So in terms of a civil wedding, it's a very easy way of doing things. You just need to make sure that you have all the documents you need to pass to the civil register, like a certificate of no marriage, birth certificate, all those things. You compile that together, you submit it to the civil register, and then you will be scheduled by the court when your wedding is going to be. You have no say when is that going to be exactly. And that's so weird. That's why on our marriage contract, we got married on March 15th. And then we had a ceremonial wedding on March 27th because we could opt for the civil wedding to be held a few days before the ceremonial wedding, but we actually have no say about it at all. But to our end, it was just like, okay, whatever day it's going to be, as long as we get married, there. So that's how our civil wedding went. We went there for 20 minutes, and after that, we said our I do's. We went out, we ate with our witnesses, and then after that, I went home, and I even had a webinar after. So you probably also watched that very webinar because I uploaded it here. I went live on YouTube. So that is awesome. All in all, I think we have spent $160 or $180 just to get everything set, plus the food that we spent when we ate at the restaurant, which is like $100. So probably like roughly $250 you can go already get married in terms of a civil wedding, right? That is actually what's happening here in the Philippines. It's very cheap, very easy, in and out kind of thing. It was special in a way that it was the first time that we said our promises and our vows to each other in front of our parents. And that is not an easy feat, I tell you. So it was not easy for us to kiss each other at the lips and, let our parents know about it. But it was a very come and go thing. It was very short lived, and to people who just wants to get married, for example, you have already cohabitated with each other for the past 10 years. It's like, why do we need to have a ceremonial wedding still? Like that kind of mindset or thinking. That's okay. There's no harm in that. You can choose to have a civil wedding. Actually, when I was so already stressed with the wedding planning, for the ceremonial wedding, which will happen 2 weeks after the civil wedding, I was already thinking to myself, I wish I just opted with the civil wedding because, my husband was already okay with the whole civil wedding thing. So I was, just because I was already so stressed, I was like, oh, when is this going to end? Like, I was just thinking about that. But it does require a lot of stress when you're doing the whole ceremonial wedding thing, but it is definitely worth it. Now, going to the ceremonial wedding, we spent, I think, roughly around $3,000 to $5,000. It is like 250,000 pesos ish to 300,000 pesos. It's a very small wedding, and I'm telling you that because, again, let's think about it this way. You want it to be special. This is not for your visitors. This is for you and your husband. So what we did that allowed us to cut the cost was that we only invited 74 people. Like, that is our family and friends and our the closest friends that we could ever find. Our rule was that my husband and I should have met this person. This person has impacted our lives in the past years, right? So that was the rule. So my husband and I have hang out with that person, and they cannot even bring a +1. So there are people, basically, we allow them to bring +1s, right? Because it's either they're cohabiting or we have already hang out with those two people. We're friends with them also. So that was like no big deal for us. Like, it's okay, right, to have them there. And they're already counted also in that 74 or 75 people that we have invited. So our +1 rule is that you cannot bring a +1 if we haven't hung out, or neither does the groom and the bride has hung out with that person, or we have not met that person, or you're not cohabiting. Right? So it's a very strict rule in terms of +1, and I'm so glad that no one in the wedding ever brought a +1, right? So that's how crazy it is. I just feel like I'm so intimidating a type of person that they would actually follow my instructions. And my husband is also very firm and straightforward. Like, if there is anyone who can tell you right to your face who you are and what the hell are you doing, that's my husband. Like, I am on the side, I'm a little bit intimidating and I can be bossy, but I'm not very confrontational, but my husband is. So, it's a win-win situation for us. There's that. Now, we did a lot of customizing. So apart from the fact that we only have invited our closest of our friends, we also made sure that we have cut down the cost on plenty of things. I only splurged on the wedding gown in the video. That's it. Those are the two things that are completely out of my budget. And then I also had my husband buy his own stuff. You buy your own suit, you buy the suit or the outfit that you want your groomsmen and your best men to have. I'll also be the one buying the clothes that I want for my bridesmaids and my maid of honors to have. And so we also only had 3 maids of honor and 3 best men. We did not have plenty of groomsmen. They were all our best friends. And so it only makes sense for them to like be put in one place, right? So we also didn't have principal sponsors. We kind of have, but basically they are our aunts and uncles. So we had secondary sponsors, like the parents of our friends. Yeah, that's basically it. We did not have like this really huge entourage. The ring bearer and the coin bearer were my brothers, to which my mom and my dad also bought the clothing. Because here in the Philippines, it's like a very important thing for you to, as a groom and the bride, to be able to spend money on the groomsmen and everyone else's clothing, which is not what we have done. So we made sure that the entourage was very small. The visitors were only 74. We splurged on food. I think I made sure that the food was good. We ordered a mobile cocktail because we knew for a fact that our people, we are consist of heavy drinkers. And then the third one, we also had a really good grazing table. So we just made sure of those things, and I splurged more on my wedding gown and the videography. So the video was a little bit out of budget, but it was very nice. It was our favorite song that they played. They really followed our instructions and whatsoever. So it was awesome. Right. So apart from that, me as a digital marketer, you already know what kind of invites I sent. I did a digital invite. Okay, so I created a whole landing page of our wedding. So they just go there, they sign the RSVP. We had the forms collected. It was so easy and less stress. But then I also had to design my physical invite because you need to print one or at least two so that you can present something to the photographer when they're shooting the details of the wedding. So that was an easy feat because, you were a graphic designer back in the day. Charot. So I created all the design invites, the name cards. We even had this very cute name cards that were placed on our visitors table, just thanking them of how they have impacted our lives. So for example, one that we have for one of my besties who is maid of honor was that Charlene. Thank you for the solid, loyal, unpretentious friendship. Thank you for coming. So something like that. So we did that also in the name cards. I've done that all. So that's why you can say that I am stressed, but everything is now worth it. It's all done. Whew. Thank you. So what is my advice if you want to start planning this whole thing with your wedding? Again, number 1, stop thinking that you're going to ROI this shit because you're not going to. Okay? So just leave it out of your mind. The second one, negotiate all the prices at all cost. Okay, so don't try to be timid and shy. Like, oh my god, like I'm not going to negotiate my prices or your prices as a supplier because you're probably going to think that I'm a cheapskate. Like, cheapskate rather. I just said cheapskate. I want mine well done. So don't be afraid of people calling you cheapskate because you are negotiating and you're trying to meet them halfway. Don't also be entitled because you're like, oh my god, that's so expensive. Your prices shouldn't be like that. So it's not that. You ask them kindly if you could meet them halfway. Because, for example, with my wedding gown, it was supposedly being more expensive. And it's like double the price of the budget that I have. And the designer and I were able to meet halfway, and she said, okay, I can give this to you for this, but I'm not going to be able to give you like a veil, a box, and whatever, a purse for your wedding day and whatsoever. And I was completely okay with that because those are the things that I don't need anyway. So we were able to meet halfway, and always negotiate your prices so that you can save plenty of money. Don't spend too much on wedding rings. I do not understand why people are spending like 30,000 pesos or $600 or even $1,000 on a pair of wedding rings. Like, that is crazy. Do you know how much we have spent on our wedding rings? And it was me and my husband who even like split the bill in half in order to get this, because I was so worried. I did not really want to spend $600 to $700 or even $1,000 for what on a wedding ring, but I really wanted it to be new and to be special. We already have our promise rings, and we were even thinking like, let's just use our promise ring because we have bought it like a year before, and this was worth $300 for the pair. And he bought me this engagement ring that is actually very cheap, but I'm still wearing it up until this day. We were just thinking like, let's just have a wedding ring that is cool, like is heavy, but we really need to find something that is not out of our budget. So imagine our promise ring is $300. Our wedding ring is only $180. Haha. And it's already a nice pair. So I saw this ad of these wedding ring company called The Ring Shop. So if only The Ring Shop can give me like an affiliate commission on this one. They have the cheapest wedding rings, or the cheapest rings they are, but they're very durable and they're actually heavy. Like, it's crazy. They are using, I think if I'm not mistaken, titanium carbide as the material for their wedding rings. That's why it's heavy and it's durable. And we're very much happy with the wedding rings. Like, I was so excited when the wedding rings arrived, and I was like, oh my God, like, it's so nice. What are other things that I could advise? Well, you can split the costs together with your husband, or your spouse rather. In our case, I'm the one who earns more, so I think it was basically like a common sense that I should be the one that's spending more, and basically I'm the one who wants like this really nice wedding because my husband was completely okay with the civil wedding already. But yeah, I was the one who spent more, and then he was the one who spent money on a suit, his best man, all these other things were assigned to him. It's like we really divided and split the bill, not entirely 50-50, but that's okay with me because then again, I'm the one who earns more. So there you have it. Those are our tips and tricks on how you can plan your wedding as an entrepreneur. Stop thinking that you can ROI this shit. Again, like I said that 3 times already in a row. I just want to make sure that you don't make the same mistake that I did. So there you have it. I hope that you have learned something. And please, last but not the least, I hope that you make sure that the one you're going to marry is the one that you can talk about your whole life with. Because I almost got married to a different person, right? So if you don't know that chica, but I'm just going to say, before you make any decision, like these huge decisions in your life, just make sure that you really want this person for the rest of your life, not because there's an external tingling thing. Because I know that I was staying in a past relationship because there were external factors, right? So there could be in your case, there could be external factors that are pressuring you in terms of staying with that person and thinking that you want to marry that person. But when you are making the right decision in terms of getting married, you will find that everything is easy. Like, you will stare at that person on your wedding day and you'll be like, I'm happy. Like, I'm glad that you're the person that I'm saying these vows to. Like teary-eyed right now. But yeah, so aside from the planning and the budgeting advice, I'm also going to give you a love advice in a little bit. So there you have it. I'm not going to make this video any longer. It's been too long. It's like 22 minutes as I'm recording this. So I hope that you have learned something. Thank you so much. Let's see you in the next video.